In December 1773, over 90,000 pounds of British tea were dumped into Boston Harbor, a loss of property worth nearly $2 million in today's currency. This scale of destruction moved the conflict out of the realm of political debate and into a criminal crisis that London felt compelled to answer with force. It set a chain of escalation in motion, where every extreme act by the colonists triggered a severe, organized countermeasure from the Crown. The Tea Party didn't resolve the underlying grievances. Instead, it ensured the colonies would soon face the full weight of the British military. The response was swift. London dispatched thousands of regular soldiers to the colonies, not to govern, but to enforce a total lockdown of the region. In hubs like Boston, the presence of redcoats became a constant physical reality, with armed guards patrolling the same market squares where civilians had once moved freely. This influx of troops created a tightening perimeter, choking off trade and restricting movement across the colonial borders. Having professional soldiers stationed directly among a hostile population turned every street corner into a potential flashpoint for violence. By attempting to suppress the rebellion through sheer military containment, the British ensured that when the situation eventually broke, it would be a violent rupture. For the average colonist, daily life now meant navigating around checkpoints and living under the constant observation of heavily armed troops. These local friction points multiplied. Small arguments between civilians and guards in one town were soon echoed in villages across the colonies. The speed of this buildup was relentless, moving much faster than the slow process of 18th-century diplomacy could hope to manage. Civilians who had spent years debating tax policy were now physically cornered by an army they increasingly viewed as foreign invaders. By 1775, the years of escalating tension reached the point where the existing order could no longer hold. The first battle broke out, shifting the American struggle permanently from civil disobedience to an organized war. This engraving of the first clash highlights a stark disparity. On the right, the British regulars fire in synchronized, disciplined lines. To the left, through the smoke, the colonial resistance is in disarray, taking heavy losses in the face of that organized fire. When the first volley was fired, the era of protests and tea dumping was over. The battle proved that disorganized local groups were incapable of surviving a sustained campaign against a professional military force. In the immediate aftermath, the colonies realized they were in a war without an actual army to fight it. Scattered independent militias could harass the British, but they couldn't defeat a professional force in a long-term conflict. Survival demanded a total strategic shift. The colonies had to build a formal military structure from the ground up. To avoid total defeat, they had to match the British hierarchy with a centralized command of their own. To bridge this gap, the Continental Congress made a decisive choice: the appointment of George Washington. Washington was given a clear mandate to take these disjointed volunteers and turn them into a unified American army. His new command was the direct consequence of the chain reaction that had begun with the destruction of tea in Boston Harbor. But Washington taking the lead was only the beginning of the true conflict. To see how he attempted to build an army from scratch, follow for the next chapter. The British strategy of intense military pressure didn't suppress the colonists. It compelled them to unite, organize, and create the very army that would eventually secure their independence.